Hello, thanks for joining. I'm hoping this example can assist others in setting up effective targeting. It also illustrates a logical, data-driven, and tailored approach. Here's a quick example of how I built Facebook targeting that worked for a niche and expensive new product. This was a new startup, in fact, in the consumer robotics space. The company wanted to use Facebook campaigns to prospect for new customers and generate sales. Prior to my joining, this recommended approach was followed. Scenario 1. It spent $7,500, but 0 sales came in and the campaign was turned off. It failed. In contrast, my approach generated a profitable ROI with the same amount of spend. New sales and customers were coming in. Thus, the campaign was kept running and even increased in budget. So, why was there such a difference in performance between these two scenarios? Let's look at scenario 1. This is generally quite powerful. Build a lookalike on your previous customers, let Facebook find similar people in the market. It's Facebook's suggestion. Let the algorithm do its work. Once it's running, it gets better at finding that next new customer, and you keep the under-the-hood settings at their defaults. This is applied to a wide variety of businesses, but it doesn't always fit. In the case of a direct-to-consumer B2C type business, it can be very effective for a low-cost, high-volume item like a fast-moving consumer good that's broadly desired. Think apparel, personal hygiene, etc. But does it work for a product that has a small niche market? Would you want to fish in a sea of 2 million people? And this is why one should not always take the cookie cutter approach or follow the template recommendations. In this case, it failed, and these are often some logical reasons given. Maybe you need more time, even more spend. There's not enough sales conversions volume yet for the algorithm to work properly. Perhaps try changing to a different conversion event that is higher volume, like a simple sign-up on site to a newsletter. Also, the landing page or creatives or pricing could be improved. Try a promo or even a video campaign to just make people excited about the product first before you hit them with a sales offer. Or give up. In fact, none of these is the reason the scenario failed. It had incorrect settings in targeting. Scenario 2 is the approach I took, which was tailored to this particular business. The audience targeting was built on common sense logic and the data we had on prior customers. Let's dig into it. In fact, 1.5 million people were outside of the strong signals from the customer demographics. 1.5 million. Only 500,000 people in the lookalike targeting actually matched the robot purchasers' customer demographics. So let's not spend money and impressions targeting these 1.5 million people here, where they're not likely to convert. As much as the Facebook algorithm and machine learning can be very powerful, let's help it do even better. For example, looking at the purchasers' demographics, the remaining 500,000 people in the case of the lookalike, income was a very strong signal of purchase for an expensive and discretionary product. This makes logical sense. Only higher income people could afford the product to begin with. Furthermore, improving the targeting via tech-interested individuals was also helpful and further focused it. For example, people who read CNET, The Verge, early adopters, Facebook targeting, etc. And finally, I went down to the focus layer of 60,000 people, which consisted of 2 interest factors. Users had to match both to enter my audience. First, robotics interest, which aligns to the product itself. Most of those 140,000 people would not necessarily be interested in buying a robot. And second, Kickstarter interest. This made it more likely for people to convert because they were already familiar with the Kickstarter pre-order payment model, which was the case for this robotics product as well. In other words, these 60,000 people were okay waiting months to get their product. The final audience was not large, but it matched both the niche nature of the product itself and also the company's budget constraints. The Facebook algo could fish more effectively for those next customers within this qualified pool of people, and the result was a profitable return on ad spend and incremental revenue for the business. Okay, so thanks for joining and listening up until now. Here's a bonus, which can make a huge difference in the performance of your ads and their cost. It's just one example of a quick under-the-hood setting. This is sample targeting in the United States. It's a highly specific audience. You can pause the video if you want to look into the details, but it's only 12 to 14,000 people based on these targeting filters. And specifically, I turned off, unchecked this setting. This is by default turned on in each new Facebook ad set. Look what happens if you leave this setting on. This is an extreme example to illustrate, but you end up targeting 37 times more people. You've gone from 14,000 to 500,000 people. It's much broader, arguably highly unqualified when you're engineering a very specific set of audience filters. In other cases, this default setting may only increase your base audience by 20 to 50%, but you see why it's Facebook's incentive to have this on. It gives its system more scope to reach people, but also more scope to spend. I recommend turning this setting off when first testing new targeting. If your base targeting works, then great. You can test broadening the user pool beyond it. Hope this was helpful. Thanks very much for listening, and all the best of luck.